Good Friday evening, everybody, and welcome inside More Sports Les Levine, the Weekend Winners Edition. A busy weekend on tap. We'll talk some Cavs, we'll talk some Browns, we'll talk some Ohio State Buckeyes, but we begin with the Cleveland Indians. The Indians have won 6 of 7 games and are in first place in the American League Central Division, getting set to start a 3-game series out in Kansas City, and that's where we are joined by Indians beat reporter from MLB.com, Mandy Bell. Mandy, appreciate the time. Terry Francona mentioned about keeping their head above water while they got healthy. They're doing even better than that right now as they get set for this 3-game series.
Yeah, they really have. I mean, their starting rotation has given them everything that they could possibly ask for. Obviously, the setback a little bit after hearing the news about Mike Clevenger and the fact that he's not even going to look at a baseball for 6 to 8 weeks. That one hurts a little bit. But I think they have 4 other guys who are able to step up for sure. And Shane Bieber showed exactly what he can do last night. And just to be able to have that as your 5th guy in the rotation to be able to bump up a little bit and carry the weight of the load that is left now without Clevenger in that rotation. They've done everything. And then the last few days, you're starting to see some of the guys in the offense, Leonis Martin, Tyler Naquin, who everyone was a little bit worried about at the start of the season whenever he started off slow, but he's proven that he's starting to get his bat back. So things are starting to fall together a little bit here for the Indians as they're getting close to getting healthy. And
here's a look at those pitching matchups for the series. And Carlos Carrasco looking to get back to what he does well. And I have a pretty good feeling that Carlos Carrasco will get it figured out. That one is at 8:15 tonight, and you see the pitching matchups. Anything kind of jump out with you with the pitching matchups that you see there, Mandy?
I just think a big one is just how is Jefry Rodriguez going to do in his Tribe debut tomorrow? I think it's going to be interesting to see. I know during spring training, Francona had said he's a big arm, and that's anytime you ask anything about him, he's a big arm. And you could tell that the Indians were interested in him all throughout spring, but it just came down to him needing a little bit more experience. He got some experience with the Nationals, but Francona said send him down, get him some more reps, get him some more time. And so far, I mean, with the pitchers they had in spring training are in AAA right now. Jefry Rodriguez is one of the only ones who seem to be stretched out long enough to be able to come up and make a spot start. And so for the Indians, it might be a little bit easier with some upcoming off days that they can just work with a 4-man rotation after that for some time before they have to make a decision. So they did make it clear that Jefry Rodriguez will just be making a 1-start appearance. But it'll be interesting to see how he handles that. And I know the Indians are ready to see what they have waiting for them in AAA.
Last thing I'll ask you, who's really grabbed your attention as somebody who has stepped up when needed to in these first 12, 13 games?
I think it's hard to answer anything other than Carlos Santana. The Aprils and Marches, I guess it was, that he's had in the past have been a little bit rocky. He's not known to always get off to the greatest start. Last year, I think he hit right around 150 through the first month of the year. And this year, he's doing the complete opposite. He's completely put this team on his back, the offense on his back, and he's done everything that he could possibly do in these first few games to make sure that this offense keeps going. So I think it's hard to say anybody but him.
Mandy Bell, we appreciate it. In Kansas City, getting set to cover the Indians as they get set to start a 3-game series with the Kansas City Royals. Make sure you follow Mandy Bell on MLB.com. She is the Indians beat reporter. We're going to step aside, take a quick timeout. Reinforcements are on the way to help the Tribe out. From Columbus, we'll check in with Ryan Mitchell and hear more about Jefry Rodriguez. We'll get that start tomorrow. More Sports Les Levine, Weekend Winners Edition will be right back. Welcome back to More Sports and Les Levine, the Weekend Winners Edition. I'm Dave Bacon. Well, yesterday, Chris Antonetti said that Jason Kipnis would continue his rehab down in Columbus. They are in Durham, at least for the next few days, and then they would reassess, and that possibly Jason Kipnis could join the Indians on their current road trip. They're in Kansas City, then they'll go off to Seattle. Last night, though, the Clippers scored 11 runs on 18 hits. And it was Jason Kipnis in the first inning, driving the ball to the opposite field. It hits high off the wall, ends up as an RBI double. Stayed in the park, but Kipnis with an RBI double. Kipnis 3 of 17 at Columbus, does have a couple of doubles. Carlos Gonzalez, he seems ready to come back to the big leagues. Take a look at that. Just drives it to right center, outside fastball, and it leaves the park in a hurry. Gonzalez is hitting .348. He had his fourth two-hit game in 6 starts at Columbus last night. Time to go get him and put him into the Indians' outfield. The Indians have to make a move with him by the 20th. That is next Saturday. So the Indians have to decide whether they're going to bring him to the big leagues, which is likely by April 20th, which is next Saturday. Time to welcome in the play-by-play voice of the Columbus Clippers, Ryan Mitchell. Ryan, we appreciate the time. We'll get to Cargo and Kipnis in just a minute, but let's talk about the guy that's going to be on the mound Saturday, tomorrow, for the Indians. Jefry Rodriguez made a start in Columbus. What did you see from Rodriguez?
Well, he's a guy they got for Yan Gomes from the Washington Nationals. He won't be making his major league debut. He did that with the Nats last year, but certainly anytime you get back to the major leagues as a young guy, maybe he'll have some nerves. But he looked pretty good. He didn't have a great start for the Clippers, but Columbus had a lot of offense that day, one of the few days they've had a lot of offense, frankly. And so there wasn't a lot of pressure on him. He gave up 3 runs in just shy of 6 innings. He's got a good fastball. His breaking stuff looked okay, so it was his first start of the AAA season. We'll see what happens when he gets up to the major leagues. It's just going to be one start because the Indians don't really need a 5th starter until the second week of May, really the first full week of May. And at that point, they might need one once or twice, and then the off days continue to come. So Cleveland can get away with a 4-man rotation for most of the first 2 months of the season.
You saw some of the numbers on Rodriguez, and control was an issue. 37 walks, 39 strikeouts. Did you see the command that you would like to see in his start? I know he only had 1. Were walks and command of trouble at his AAA start?
He didn't have a ton of walks, but you'd like to see a little bit more fine-tuning. And again, still a young guy, still learning how to pitch. He will get better at that, and I say that because the Cleveland Indians have really done a nice job, both at the major league level and throughout the system, at really helping guys who have plus arms refine that and build on not just the control, but the command, as you were talking about, putting the ball in the strike zone where they want it to be. So was it Bieber-esque? No, it certainly was not, but very few are that way. And he'll get better as it goes along, for sure.
You can see a big, tall, intimidating guy with that power fastball. Let's talk a little bit about Cargo and Kipnis. What have you seen? You've seen multiple games. You've seen enough to know when a guy can help at the big league level. Tell me a little bit what you've seen with these two.
Well, for Cargo, it's been a situation where his on-base percentage is nearly .500 because a lot of the time he's not getting good pitches to hit. The pitchers in the International League have been very careful with him to this point. He's drawn a lot of walks, and some of his hits have been the overshift against him, punching the ball the other way, which doesn't sound impressive, but it's a really good sign for me because it means the bat control is still there. And what you saw in the highlight package you showed at the top of the segment here is the bat speed is still pretty good as he was able to drive a ball out of Durham Bulls Athletic Park down in Durham, North Carolina. So he's looked very good in the outfield. The arm is still there. He reads fly balls well, and I think I said this last time aboard. The right field at Huntington Park is not an easy one to play because of the tall wall and all the crazy angles over there. So he's looked very good in that regard. He has carried himself with a lot of confidence, so he knows he can play. I think the numbers show that he has looked pretty good, and for a team in Cleveland hitting under 200 as a unit, I think he can probably help.
What about Kipnis? I know he's been banged up. Does he look like a guy that hadn't played in several weeks, which is what he has?
Yeah, I wouldn't say that. The numbers aren't as impressive for Kip, but they don't have to be. When you're on a major league rehab assignment in the minors, nobody cares about your numbers. Nobody cares if you're batting 400 or 100. All they care about is, how does your body feel? Is your bat speed there? Does everything work the way that it's supposed to? They're not assigning any value to the stats. The thing that stood out most for me for Kipnis is the fact that he was able to make a couple of diving plays in the infield, get that uniform dirty. Of course, that's something he's known for as the lovable dirtbag, as he's been called around Cleveland for many, many years. And so the fact that he's able to do those things and move free and easy, again, with the numbers, he hit one off the Blue Monster yesterday. That's a great sign for Kipnis being able to go the other way. The Indians need him to be a better version than they saw last year. Once they get Lindor and Kipnis back, if Gonzalez gets into the lineup and starts hitting, that pitching for the Indians is really going to play up. I think they're both just about ready to go. I think it's just a matter of maybe getting some more reps and getting the timing down for Kipnis before he's ready to rejoin Cleveland.
Ryan Mitchell, play-by-play voice of the Columbus Clippers. We appreciate the insights. Certainly sounds like both Kipnis and Cargo are ready to come and help the Tribe. We're going to stay down in Columbus. We'll talk some Ohio State Buckeyes football with Doug Lesmerises. The Weekend Winners Edition. We'll be right back.
When my dad started Nature Stone right here in Northeast Ohio, he created a solution for age-old concrete problems. Unevenness, cracking, pitting, and more. Nature Stone solves all of these problems in garages, basements, and outdoor spaces. Nature Stone is beautiful, environmentally friendly, and always affordable. Plus, Nature Stone is backed by Russell's Promise, our true unconditional warranty.
Get Nature Stone installed in your home by the end of April and get up to half off. Schedule your free in-home estimate easily online today.
It's not just a floor. Wow, it's Nature Stone.
Welcome back to More Sports and Les Levine, the Weekend Winners Edition. Spring football down in Columbus is wrapping up. It'll be the first spring game for new head coach Ryan Day as the Buckeyes getting ready. The Scarlet against the Gray. As always, we check in with cleveland.com columnist Doug Lesmerises. Doug, you've been following the Buckeyes. How excited are Buckeyes fans to get to see the first edition of Ryan Day, at least in the spring game here?
Yeah, I think there might be. I think there might be a little less juice to this spring than in springs past. Urban Meyer is an entity unto himself, and so I always think it's exciting to see what's new, to see the new guy. Just Urban Meyer brought a level of excitement to sort of what he did as a national championship coach. So there are a lot of things worth watching. They have a quarterback competition, two quarterbacks that fans have never seen take a snap at Ohio State are going to be on the field Saturday. But I think there is a little bit of a wait-and-see approach with fans for this team into the fall, just because it's just a different program at the moment.
And let's talk a little bit about that. You mentioned Urban Meyer is an entity unto himself. He definitely made this a national recruiting type of thing with the Buckeyes. Players from all over the country wanted to come play for him. Can Ryan Day keep that up? Can he keep that Buckeye brand where it's been? I mean, it's tough.
Yeah, it's hard for anybody to do that. Urban Meyer was Urban Meyer fully formed when he got here. He was a known quantity. So he took Ohio State national to a different level. Now, Ryan Day has kept up a lot of that. They are, for instance, looking at a lot of highly rated running backs in this next class. There's a kid named Kendall Milton, who I think is going to be here on Saturday. He's from California. They have all these West Coast running backs that they're looking at. So they're not going to abandon national recruiting. However, they have a coaches clinic that started on Thursday, continues on Friday. That's mostly for Ohio high school coaches, and Ryan Day has been beating the drum about how important Ohio is going to be for their recruiting efforts. They're offering Ohio kids earlier. They're taking commitment from Ohio kids earlier, especially at places like the offensive line. That is absolutely a strategy. It's a strategy a lot of coaches employ. When you get a job, one of the first groups you have to reach out to is the in-state high school coaches. So it's just a smart thing to do. But I also think it's partly a realization by Ryan Day that to continue to recruit kids from Texas and Georgia and Florida the way Urban Meyer did may not be realistic. They may lean back toward Ohio a little bit more than in the past several years. But I also think they don't want to give up on that Ohio State national brand. It's just that few people could do it to the extent that Urban Meyer did.
Let's talk specifically about the spring game coming up noon on the Big Ten Network. Who are some names to watch, some people that you really want to see how they perform in a game setting, a quasi-game setting?
Yeah, and they're not going to tackle to the ground. They're going to do thud tackling, which just you hit them and then back off. The quarterbacks aren't going to be live. So, it's not going to 10-minute quarters, running clock in the second half. So a lot of the veteran guys aren't going to play. Chase Young at defensive end might be an All-American in the fall. He's not going to play much. The veteran guys never play much in these games. So I think young skill position guys are the guys to watch. Beyond Justin Fields and Matthew Baldwin at quarterback, again, both of whom have never played a snap of Ohio State football before. You want to watch them. Garrett Wilson is a true freshman receiver who they've talked about all spring. 5-star guy from Texas. Watch him. He's going to play a lot in the fall. Jalen Gill is an Ohio kid from Central Ohio who redshirted last year at the slot receiver H-back position. I think they want to get a look at a guy like him because KJ Hill is a fifth-year guy at H-back. They know KJ Hill. They want to see what Jalen Gill does. So watch some of these young skill guys, and there's kind of a competition behind J.K. Dobbins, who's going to be the starting running back to get the bulk of the carries. Who might be next? There's an early enrolled kid named Marcus Crowley, who is a guy that Ryan Day brought up this week as a guy who's really flashed. So watch some of those young skill guys who could get into the 2 deep and contribute in some way in the fall. But Garrett Wilson might start in the fall. So really keep an eye on him, number 5 for the offense.
What about the offense under Ryan Day? That's a guy that was a pretty good offensive coach to begin with, and he brought some pretty good offensive coordinating and passing game type guys. What do you expect the offense to be like?
Yeah, it's a great question. I think there's some question in my mind of last year, the Dwayne Haskins offense, throwing the ball like that. How much was that taking advantage of the skill set of that quarterback, and how much was that an evolution towards what Ryan Day wants to do? I think he does want to throw more. I think he wants to run the quarterback less than Urban Meyer did. I do think that's an evolution. However, Justin Fields, who I'm pretty sure is going to win the starting job, has a great skill set as a runner. So I do think we're going to see more passing. We're going to see, although it's hard to pass more than they did last year when Dwayne Haskins was chucking it all over the place. But I think philosophically, a little more NFL-type stuff, less quarterback run ideally. But again, I think that's the philosophical shift with Ryan Day over time. Right now, in the moment, Justin Fields is a much better runner than Dwayne Haskins. So even though Ryan Day over time, I think, will emphasize the pass game more than Urban Meyer and emphasize the quarterback run game far less, this year, I think the quarterback will run more than last year because Dwayne Haskins didn't run at all. So it's a little confusing. You've got to take advantage of what you have. But Ryan Day is an offensive coach, NFL influence, also Urban Meyer influence, also Chip Kelly influence. So we'll see similar things the past couple of years, but I think we'll also see a shift a little bit in what Ryan Day does with the passing game.
Doug Lesmerises, columnist from cleveland.com. We appreciate the insight. Again, Buckeye Spring Game, noon Saturday on the Big Ten Network. We're going to step aside and take a quick time out. We're going to talk some Browns. We move a little north in the state. Browns football coming up on the Weekend Winners Edition.
It takes attention to detail. With your local Bryant dealer, you're getting more than just a technician. You're getting someone who pays attention to your needs and the little things that make a big difference. It takes a dealer you can rely on. And to keep your family cool this summer,
let me show you how this works.
It takes Bryant.
Bryant, whatever it takes.
And to keep your family comfortable, it takes Smiley One Heating and Cooling. Find them at 440-449-HEAT.
Welcome back to More Sports and Les Levine, the Weekend Winners Edition. I'm Dave Bacon. The NFL Draft will get underway in less than 2 weeks on Thursday night with the first round. Of course, the Browns do not have a first-round pick as presently constructed, but they do have the second pick, 49th overall. Time to welcome in Jake Burns and try to find out, Jake, what do you think the guys that the Browns are dialing in at that 49th pick potentially?
It's a tough question. I think that's something that we don't have a feel for who they value as the best player available. I think that we hope that they're going to attack some defensive positions that we know that they need to attack, which is probably corner. You know, we've talked about Justin Layne. We've talked about Julian Love, a cornerback from Notre Dame. They would be wise to add as many pass defenders, secondary players, corners who can cover as long as possible. It's always wise in modern NFL. I know some people much smarter than me have done really introspective studies on the importance of which one, whether it's pass rush or coverage-wise, that is going to help improve your team's winning probability. And pass coverage is sort of one out on that rank just slightly. So as many coverage guys you can get, the likes of Juan Thornhill at safety make a lot of sense as well too. So I do think it's going to be interesting to know, sort of pay attention which way they go there. They could also go offensive tackle too if the likes of Yadni Kajusta are available, West Virginia, Greg Little, Ole Miss, and other tackle prospects available. It's tough to truly know, but there are going to be, and I try to focus on this as much as I can with this draft, the Browns don't necessarily have what I call needs, which are plug-and-play people to start for them immediately. They're in a nice situation where they can seek upgrades to those players that they think they need to, or sorry, those positions that I think they need to add to, like cornerback, like linebacker, maybe like offensive tackle, that they can keep a big picture type of thing going on with this draft.
Let's talk a little bit about some individual guys that we've touched on before. Jefry Simmons, what do you see in him? What do you like about him? I know he's kind of banged up, injured, coming back, but what about Jefry Simmons?
So, interesting prospect. He is a lot of people you talk to, and it's been very vocal from the Browns that the reason they felt comfortable with making the Odell Beckham trade was because they had graded about 15 guys to be first-round players, and they were picking 17, so they thought this was a spot that we could risk giving up this feeling like it's through air quote first-round pick, as different than maybe San Francisco, who's giving up pick 2, which is a much different situation. So, with Simmons, you're getting a guy who has 2 immediate red flags. He obviously has a history of domestic violence. Not necessarily domestic violence, but violence against a female. He was in high school. A fight happened that he was associated with a family member, and he stood up for that family member, and it involved hitting another woman, which is unfortunate. Then he goes to Mississippi State, does everything he can to rectify his character concerns, all of those things, has outwardly spoken about how he made the wrong decision at that time, had a really good career at Mississippi State, really good draft process, and then tears his ACL. So that puts red flag number 2 out there. But in terms of just on tape, on field production, a fantastic football player, one of Pro Football Focus's better graded interior players, just a really rare physical size speed comparison getting off the football inside. I've made reference on this show several times now about John Dorsey's requirement now that he wants 4 players along the defensive front who can get after the quarterback, and Simmons fits that mold really well. He's not your typical interior plotting big guy. He is a guy who can get upfield fast and play with that size speed, like a Fletcher Cox from Philadelphia type player who can dominate up front. It could be a really good future pairing with Larry Ogunjobi as they work Sheldon Richardson next to him right now.
Let's talk about a cornerback. One guy that you didn't mention, I know you like, is Byron Murphy. What do you like about him from Washington?
Yeah, so a big part of Steve Wilkes' defense is this sort of cover 3 shell. He's going to blitz a 5th guy off, and he's going to leave 3 deep and 3 under, and they're going to play a lot of cover 3 and a lot of man. Byron Murphy didn't run effectively as quick as we wanted to draw those. He drew the sort of nickname as a West Coast Denzel Ward draw in comparison based on his tape, but he didn't run as fast as Ward did. But that doesn't mean he can't play that type of football. He's probably best as a cover 3 corner, can play man when asked to, but just a really sound football player who can provide a really good level of skill opposite Denzel Ward, and you would feel good about that pairing long term. So it's really what the Browns is in any of these drafts, Dave. If you find somebody you love as you're scouting the process out, maybe they find somebody that they really, really love on tape, they could possibly move up for that guy. I know we're going to talk about another player that they could do that too, but if they're sitting at 49, this is what happens. Day 1 ends, and there's all these names on the board, and everybody gets to meet as a staff and slow down and process and digest that first round. You sit down, you look at names, and then that's when decisions get made. Hey, could you call Arizona and move up? Could you call New England and move up? Or sorry, not New England, but you could, like I said, at the beginning of the first round, the second round, call somebody like Arizona or anybody who's up towards that top tier. If they're looking to get some of those later picks the Browns have stockpiled, that's something that they could do. And if somebody like Murphy or somebody like Simmons plausibly slips, that's a move up that they can make.
Another guy that I know you think highly of, offensive lineman, Let's talk a little bit about Dalton Risner. What do you think about him, and what is appealing about him?
So Risner's going to go high. If the Browns have an interest in moving into the first round and really fall in love with that tackle player, he's a guy who's interesting to me. Right tackle and left tackle experience, really nasty finisher, good enough footwork to be able to handle the positions, but he's going to win with power as often as he possibly can and overwhelm defensive ends who are going to try to get cute and win with speed. He is an effective player, like I said, at right tackle or left tackle. And the Browns have to analyze in their situation. We have Chris Hubbard, who sort of was an average to below average player at right tackle. We have an out in his contract after 2019 with a minimal cap hit. We signed back Greg Robinson to play left tackle. It's a guy that we like what we saw the second half of last year, but that doesn't mean he can't revert to the old Greg Robinson at any moment. So we keep the flexibility alive, give him a one-year deal. If he proves it, becomes the player we think he can be, then you have a guy who you can lock in long-term. Greg Robinson says, I'm going to take a risk and try to get as much money as I can with another really good year. Works for both ends, but for the Browns, you got to sit down at the table and look, we could have an opening at left tackle and an opening at right tackle possibly in 2020. Should we entertain getting some long-term stability at either of those tackle positions with a year of development under new offensive line coach James Campen? It can make a lot of sense for the Browns to do that.
Jake Burns, we appreciate it. You can read Jake here on cleveland.com. He's a contributor. He also writes for the Orange and Brown Report. Some really good insight. We're going to step aside, take a quick time out. The NBA playoffs getting set to start. Cavs won't be in it, but they are looking for a new head coach. Chris Fedor joins us on More Sports and Les Levine, the Weekend Winners Edition.
There are tastes we remember. Every smell brings the happiness of times gone by. Experience this every time you walk into Gallucci's Italian Foods. Whether you need lunch on the go, a catered party, or that perfect blend of wine, meats, and cheeses, Gallucci's has exactly what you're looking for. Straight from Mama's Kitchen for old world traditions or original experiences. From the tastes you remember to new flavors you'll never forget. Gallucci's is a tasty branch of your family tree.
Welcome back to More Sports and Les Levine, the Weekend Winners Edition. I'm Dave Bacon. NBA season wrapped up, and really no surprise, the Cavs and their head coach Larry Drew agreed to mutually part ways. Let's bring in cleveland.com Cavs beat reporter Chris Fedor. Chris, a 19-win season, you know, the arrangement kind of evolved at the beginning of the year to keep Larry Drew on as the head coach. This really isn't a big surprise. And in fact, the Cavs have probably been looking all season long at who their next head coach will be.
I think any team like the Cavs that's in the middle of a rebuild, Dave, they have to have some kind of general list of who they may go after into the future. So, yeah, I think they've been compiling that. I talked to an agent of one of these coaches, two of these coaches, three of these coaches that are probably going to be on the Cavs list late last night, and they said they hadn't heard from the Cavs as of yet. So I think the Cavs are going to spend Friday, Saturday, Sunday really compiling that list, really finalizing that list, trying to set up interviews. But it made sense that they went this direction because rebuilds aren't for everybody. I don't think they were for Larry Drew. And I just think where Larry is in his life and his career is a lot different than where the Cavs are at this stage of their rebuild.
You mentioned it. What are some of the qualities that the Cavs will be looking for in that new head coach that will be on that list that they're going to go through and compile the next few days, really?
Well, it's going to be a wide-ranging search for the Cavs. They don't want to shortchange themselves. They don't want to rush this decision. For the first time in, 4 years, they actually have 2 extra months to do something in the offseason, and it's not going to be as short as it's been recently. So it's going to be a little bit of first-year head coaches. It's going to be retread. It's going to be college rank. They're going to look everywhere to try and find the right fit for this organization moving forward. And I think the things that they're going to be looking for, Dave, are do you have some kind of background in terms of developing players? Can you get more out of the roster than what is currently here? I think youth is going to matter, and not just because they don't want somebody who's old, but They want somebody who's going to grow with this young core that they're building and be here for 5 to 10 years and maybe solidify something that hasn't been solidified over the past. And I think the other thing that's probably going to matter to them is, does this person come from a winning environment, a winning culture, where he knows what that looks like, he knows what it feels like, and he knows what it took to get to that point?
Any names at all that just to keep an eye on, and without giving away anybody that you might have talked to or his agents you might have talked to, are there any names that you consistently hear pop up when you mention hot young coaching prospects in the NBA?
Without a doubt, I think Jordi Fernandez of the Denver Nuggets, he was with the Canton Charge. He was with the Cleveland Cavaliers as a player development coach. That's where he got his start. He's somebody who I think the Cavs are going to have strong interest in. He's been the lead assistant, one of the lead assistants for the Denver Nuggets. They're going to the playoffs. He learned under Mike Malone. Denver is all about player development and trying to get these guys in positions where they can be successful and in position where they can get the most out of where they were drafted. That's how Denver had to do it because they're not a huge free agent destination like Cleveland. So he makes a lot of sense. I think Alex Jensen, the assistant coach of the Utah Jazz, the Cavs have a lot of respect for the Jazz and the way that they run their program. He was also with the Canton Charge as a head coach, so he's got head coaching experience from that standpoint. I think David Vanderpool from Portland, Nate Tibbetts from Portland, those kinds of guys I think make a lot of sense for the Cavs. And I think they really, really like all of them.
Well, let's shift gears. Playoffs start tomorrow, Saturday. For the first time in a long time, Cavs not there. Who do you like? You've seen all of these teams as a beat reporter. You get to sit day in, day out. You get to see everybody. Who do you like in the Eastern Conference that you have seen?
So I did like Boston because I've learned over the previous 4 years, Dave, that the regular season and the playoffs are very, very different. And I think having somebody like Kyrie Irving, Al Horford, both guys have been there. Both guys have that kind of experience that maybe the Milwaukee Bucks don't have, maybe the Philadelphia 76ers don't have. But the injury to Marcus Smart, I think, is significant for Boston, especially if it carries over into the second round where they would have to play Milwaukee. So because of that Marcus Smart injury, I think I've got the Bucks or the Raptors. And I think I'll lean towards the Raptors because of Kawhi Leonard. I don't think it's the same Toronto team from the past that kind of crumbled in the postseason.
What about Western Conference? Is it the Warriors and everybody else? It sure didn't look like that in the regular season, but as you said, playoffs are a different animal.
Yeah, I think it's the Warriors and everybody else still. And I think we were robbed of a Western Conference final showdown between the Warriors and the Rockets because of what happened in the last night of the regular season. Now that's going to be in the semifinals. I mean, come on. But the Warriors, to me, the hard thing about them, Dave, is you got to beat them 4 times in 7 tries. And maybe you can beat them twice, but you can't beat them 4 times in 7 tries. They're just too good.
As always, we appreciate the time. Chris Fedor, the Cavaliers beat reporter for cleveland.com. He likes the Warriors, and it sounds like the Bucks in the NBA Finals. We're going to step aside, take a quick time out, and we will be back with our weekly dose of Maction. It's More Sports Les Levine, the Weekend Winners Edition.
Hello, I'm Chad Miles, host of Kentucky Afield, the longest-running outdoor show in the nation. I've had the privilege of watching Kentucky's elk herd grow to the largest east of the Mississippi, attaining Boone and Crockett status, and I've shared in some amazing elk hunts along the way. This year, nearly 600 tags are available to the public, and you can take your pick of tags to put in for and possibly go on the hunt of a lifetime. Simply apply by April 30th for your chance to hunt elk right here in Kentucky.
Time to get your weekly dose of Maction. A women's basketball player selected in the WNBA draft and more. Heather Klatt has it in this week's Mac Tracks.
Hey guys, it's Heather Klatt, and here's your Mac Track for the week. Sorry we missed you last week, just trying to get through all the craziness of March Madness, so here's everything you need to get caught up on. Although basketball season just ended, teams are already prepping for the 2019-2020 season with head coaching changes happening at 2 of our institutions. Ohio welcomed in former Bobcat captain Jeff Bulls as the 19th head coach in program history. The Buffalo Bulls promoted Jim Whitesell to head coach after serving as associate HC the last 4 seasons. Buffalo's C.J. Massenberg received honorable mention All-American honors. The 2019 MAC Player of the Year set the school record for points in a season with 636 and was named an All-MAC first-team selection for the 2nd straight year. Joining him in the All-American Club are fellow seniors Sierra Dillard and Raina Frost on the women's side, who also picked up honorable mention status. Frost finished her career with a MAC record 1,526 rebounds and scored 1,794 points, the 3rd most in CMU program history. She posted 29 double-doubles this past season and was named an academic All-American. Dillard finished her Buffalo career with a scoring average of 20.6 points per game over 2 seasons, a new program record, and also set a MAC and UB single-season record with 856 points on the season. On Wednesday, the Rochester native became the 4th MAC student-athlete drafted by the WNBA, joining the Minnesota Lynx in the 2nd round as the 20th overall pick. In case you missed it, Taylor Pearsons, Larry Austin Jr., Jalen Walker, and Jalen Sanford repped the MAC at the 3x3U National Championship. The quad took down the MAAC, Big Ten, Sunbelt, and Big East on their way to a 3rd place finish. Looking ahead to the fall volleyball season, we have some more coaching shifts that you're going to want to check out. Eastern Michigan named Darcy Dorton their head coach back in February. She was recently named an AVCA 30 Under 30 award recipient. The honor recognizes up-and-coming coaching talent at all levels of the sport. Also with the coaching shift, Buffalo promoted Scott Smith to lead the Bulls for this upcoming season. Smith served as UB's associate head coach the last 4 seasons. As the weather's finally breaking up here in the Midwest to hit the links, everyone down south has already been out on the golf course a few times, including former Kent State Golden Flash Corey Connors, who picked up his first PGA victory on Sunday at the Valero Texas Open. He is currently on course at Augusta National for the 2019 Masters. Looking ahead to next week, we will be in Noblesville, Indiana for Women's Golf Championship and Kalamazoo for men's tennis. Be sure to visit our website, getsomemaction.com, for everything you need to know about the spring championship season. We will see you guys next week.
That's all we have time for this week's show. Make sure you stick around. Bill Castrovince will join me. We will have this week's High School Sports Insider straight ahead. Have a great week, everyone.
Keep it simple.
Leaders lead. Leaders lead.
Let's go! Stop whining!
Again, go again, yes! You gotta rotate, go, Stone!
The High School Sports Insider is brought to you by Cuyahoga Community College, where futures begin. By the Ohio Lottery Partners in Education, where stars shine. By Spectrum News 1, always Ohio, always refreshing, always on, exclusively on Spectrum. By Dominion East Ohio, Dominion, it all starts here. And by Classic Teleproductions. Mother Nature is finally starting to cooperate and the spring sports are starting to get on a roll. We also have some newly crowned state champions to honor in addition to the spring sports standouts. Thanks for hopping on board this edition of the High School Sports Insider. Along with Bill Castrovince, I'm Dave Bacon.
On today's show, we've got a pitcher who defied the odds and won a state title, and another Ohio champ who's winning big across the nation. Plus, we'll meet the leader of the Red Devils and some Warriors who have their first trophy.
We begin tonight on the hardwood with one of those newly crowned state champs. Trotwood won the school's first ever basketball title, and the Rams did it in style. They overcame a big third-quarter deficit in the title game to bring home the championship. Trotwood Madison ended the season as the highest-scoring team in OHSAA history. The Rams went over 100 points in 14 of their 30 games. We have an all-access look at the high-scoring Division II state champs, the Trotwood Rams.
That play by Travell Adams is a sign that they're going to make that extra effort all game long. Good sign for Columbus.
And it's a double-digit lead on the jumper in the paint by Watkins.
Just we buried before. I know last year we was down with St. V, so we just, like he said, we buried before, so just stay the course and we're going to be good.
Keep fighting, keep fighting. We got this. We've been through this. We know how I feel to lose. We're not going to lose no more.
Johnson. Oh, and it's Davis this time with a rejection. Hughley, Matthews. Here they come.
The second half, we came out and fought for each other instead of playing for me just to try to win. We fought for each other. We did this for each other.
First basket of the day by Keontae Hughley, ties it, and then he gives him the lead off the steal.
We started getting stops. I thought we stopped worrying about whether we were getting bodied on a foul or not, and we started getting stops defensively, which led to the kind of buckets we like to get. And at the end of the day, once we got that lead, we knew we were going to spread them out, and I think that's tough for them to chase because we do have good team speed.
Trotwood wins. They're the state champions in 2019.
I don't even know if it's real yet, so it sounds great, but I need a few days to go. These guys did this.
What a great season. 27 wins. And this is the only team in OHSAA history that has scored over 3,000 points in a season.
I didn't know that till tonight. We obviously don't keep track of things like that, but wow, what a feeling, right? And again, it's these guys, their willingness. You don't do that if you just say one guy is going to do it. It's a team effort, and you see our balanced scoring today. It's been that way all year. We're just really happy for our kids.
That just shows how fast we play. You know, we'll never play slow. We always looking to score. We never play slow ball. We always look to score.
You dedicated yourselves to get back here this year, and it paid off with your first ever state championship.
Man, it was emotional. You know, it's my last game as a Trotwood Ram, and I got a ring for the community, so it just felt good.
Again, their resilience in practice and conditioning back last year in April, just their resilience and their will to do what needed to be done.
To the diamond we go. On June 2nd, 2012, the Keystone Softball team won the Division II state championship. And in the stands, there was a little girl named Sydney Campbell. She decided that day that she wanted to win a title too, even though it was a long shot. Well, 6 years later, Sydney's dream came true. And now she wants to do it all again. Here's Sydney Campbell, our Cuyahoga Community College student athlete with a future. Cuyahoga Community College, where futures begin. Keystone senior Sydney Campbell is a quiet competitor who loves to shut people up.
Growing up, I was always told that I wasn't going to be good enough because I didn't strike a lot of people out.
Campbell's recipe is simple. Pitch to contact, get ground balls or weak pop-ups, and let the defense do its job. And last season, Sydney and the Wildcats went undefeated.
Usually pitchers always have that big weight on their shoulders that they have to be perfect and nobody can hit the ball. But I know my teammates will make the outs for me.
That's the key to a state championship. You got to have a pitcher, but once you get farther, they're going to put the ball in play. Your strikeouts are going to go down deeper in the tournament because you're facing, you know, better teams all the time, and everybody wants that state title. So everything gets better, and so now you got to help you. You have a great defense behind you, and she does.
But don't get the wrong idea. Sydney can strike you out. She had 215 punch-outs last year, and her teammates have a pickup line for all of them.
Was that pitch Subway because it was fresh, and was that pitch Jimmy John's because it was freaky fast. And it's so funny, and I live for those.
but she also put in extra work to be an ace and an athlete.
All off season last year, I was getting up at like 4:45 in the morning and going to lift at 5 before school.
Speaking of school, Campbell's GPA is off the charts. She's a 4.2 student who has a softball scholarship too. Sydney will pitch at Oakland University in Michigan next year.
I just remember that when I was offered that scholarship, I just started crying. It was just amazing and I felt so good.
Sydney Campbell now wants a second state title and quiet her critics one more time.
Now that we proved what we did last year, especially with everyone saying that we wouldn't be good enough to do it, that means a lot to me that we were able to prove what other people said we couldn't do.
Sydney wants to be a teacher someday, but right now she's taking a lot of batters to school right now.
Time for us to take a quick break. When we return, we'll have a young bulldog with plenty of bite on the lanes and a youngster at the hot corner in Crestwood who just keeps getting better and better. The High School Sports Insider will be right back.
I've got a 4-year degree. I wasn't really able to find a job despite putting out over 100 applications, so I decided to go back to school. You know, Tri-C really did change my life. After getting my degree from Tri-C, I'm working in the IT field. I work at a job I love. Life is good, thanks to Tri-C. My name is Josh Gatka, and I received my IT degree from Tri-C.
The High School Sports Insider rolls along. Thanks for riding shotgun with us. Macy Head is just a sophomore, but she's an important part of the Crestwood softball team. Macy moved from first to third base and looks to be comfortable again. It's paying off in the middle of the batting order as well. Head is the Red Devils' cleanup hitter and is showing the ability to drive the ball to all fields. Macy Head from Crestwood, our Spectrum News 1 Game Breaker. With pitching that doesn't strike a lot of hitters out, defense is expected to be a strength of the Crestwood softball team this year, and third baseman Macy Head figures to be one of the reasons why.
You get a lot of action and you get a lot of opportunities to make plays, and you just got to be smart and know where to go at every moment in time. I hope to take a lot. I try to not let anything get by me. I try to, at least get one out somewhere. Basically, that's it.
She's one of those that she knows what she's going to do with the ball when it comes to her. I know last year the coach had her at first base, kind of like took her out of her comfort zone. So this year we had a couple other first base options. So I put her back to third base, and good decision.
Macy, even though she's only a sophomore, will be an important part of Crestwood's offense as well. She'll hit in the middle of the Red Devils lineup.
If there's runners on the bases, I definitely want to get them in because that's my job as a four-hitter, and I want to also help the team in any way I can. Anything that we need in that situation, I want to be able to do that and perform that the best I can.
Head has been working to hit the ball to all fields. She's beginning to realize she has the strength to drive the ball anywhere in the park.
I used to be a pull hitter. I used to pull the ball a lot, but if it's there, I'm going to pull it. I want to try to pull it, but for the most part, if it's anywhere in my zone, I'm going to try to put it wherever it's pitched. I've had to adjust my step and adjust a bunch of stuff with my swing, but for the most part, I just go where it's pitched.
It's been a while since I've heard a ball come off the bat the way that I hear it comes off of hers. She's a little bit more disciplined this year than I think she has been in the past. She was always like a first pitch hitter, and told her to be a little bit more selective, and I see that in her this year. Then she's getting those pitches that she can hit a lot better, so I think that's helping her.
Time to change our shoes and hit the lanes. Youth was served at this year's state bowling tournament. The girls' Division I title went to a rising star from Stowe. Jillian Martin is a name to remember. She's already winning big and earning scholarship money at the national level, and she's going to be around for a very long time. Throw in a 4.4 GPA and you have Jillian Martin, this week's Ohio Lottery Partners in Education Shining Star. This year's Division I state bowling title went to a freshman, which is impressive. But Jillian Martin is no ordinary freshman.
I bowled a tournament in January with pro bowlers and amateurs and stuff. So I got to kind of see how they acted, and then I can base that off of what I'm doing and see if there's anything I want to change about my game.
Martin first picked up a ball when she was 4, entered her first tournament at 9, and captured a national championship last summer at the age of 13. She had to rally, but Jillian won the JV division of the Teen Masters in Las Vegas.
And so eventually I just started gaining ground, and then we got into it, and I was like, this is really fun. So then we got into the last day, and then I was like, okay, you just gotta bowl. How you know how to bowl today? And that's what I did.
1 month later, Martin won another first place trophy, this time at the Youth Open in Dallas. And all the road trips in between with her dad have been special too.
Whether it's eating dinner and having conversations, we spend a lot of time talking. And I appreciate being able to talk to my daughter because a lot of parents don't get that chance. So that's one thing, traveling and doing all that stuff really has given us the ability to do that's really special.
Jillian began her freshman year at Stowe with a lot of experience, and it came in handy at the state meet in March. She needed 4 strikes in a row to win the state championship, and that is what she got.
It was a really good feeling. It was really special for me because a lot of family members and people we've known for a long time were there, and they don't always get to see me, so it was really special.
Despite all the travel, Jillian has a 4.4 GPA, and she has 3 more years to win more titles with her Bulldog teammates.
I get to represent my school while doing it because, I mean, I bowl individually, but it's really cool when I get the opportunity to represent where I go to school.
If you know a student who shines in the classroom like Jillian, go to OhioLottery.com. Look for the About section. In there, you'll find the Supporting Education tab, which has all the information you need.
If you missed some of today's show or want to see past episodes, they're online and free. What a deal, I know. Head to citybeat-tv.com. That's citybeat-tv.com.
Still to come, we'll hear from the first-time champs from Harvest Prep. And our Insider Classic has changed teams in the major leagues. Stay tuned.
The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education program has been recognizing role model students and teachers since 2007. To nominate a deserving teacher or student, go to OhioLottery.com. In the About section, find Supporting Education. There, you can nominate students in kindergarten through 12th grade as academic all-stars. Teachers can be honored as the Teacher of the Month. Every school that participates is eligible for the School of the Year. The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education, where stars shine.
Thanks for hanging with us on this edition of the High School Sports Insider. Harvest Prep was ranked among the top schools in the state in Division III most of the year. The Warriors, led by D3 Player of the Year Christopher Anthony, played some of their best basketball on the biggest stage at the state tournament. Harvest Prep won convincingly in both state tournament games. The 2019 Division III state champions, Harvest Prep, are Team of the Week.
A quick look in Harvest Prep may have been a little undersized, but the Warriors were ready to go in the Division III state title game. Their defense was smothering, holding Lutheran East to 20% from the field in the first quarter. The results, an 8-point Warriors lead.
Mindset, gotta have it. Gotta have it. We know we can do it, and the rest of the thing is to do it. That's the mindset. Don't leave anything out there for us.
That's what I told Tim. You can't measure heart. I mean, heart is unmeasurable, and we have that. We have that power. We have the man above. We have that, so I'm so excited.
Call it heart or confidence or whatever, these Warriors never let up and never lost that lead. For the game, Harvest Prep continued to get good shots, making better than 50% of them.
Our skill set, our heart, and keeping our composure. So like when times get rough and everything, we just stay composed and just keep on playing. But also, I mean, we're undersized, we got a whole lot of heart, and we ain't gonna let nobody just do anything to us, so we gonna play.
What was the key? What enabled you to beat a really good team in the championship game, and you beat them pretty convincingly?
Trust. Trust. I trust everybody. I got your back, you got my back the whole way through. That's all it's about.
And their defense never allowed Lutheran East to get closer than 8 points the entire second half. The result, an impressive 55-42 win over a highly regarded Lutheranese team.
They're very good. But we prepared right. The boys played, we executed, they played together, and no good results happen when you do that.
And it's my honor on behalf of our board and staff and all of our member schools to name you state champion for 2019. Congratulations.
I don't know. I can't control it right now. I don't know what to say. Just see, look at my guys' faces. It's just really, it's really emotional right now. Parents happy, crowd happy, you know, students happy, facility happy. Everybody's happy right now. That's what it's all about.
I'm so excited for them. They never experienced this, so for them to get that feeling, how it feels, the win, and know that all their hard work was in the vein. I mean, I'm so excited and happy for them.
It's time to dig into the archives for this week's Insider Classic. Spring is here, so let's head to the ballpark, where Derek Dietrich has a new address. After 6 seasons with the Miami Marlins, Dietrich signed a minor league contract with the Reds in spring training. Not only did he make the team, Derek hit a home run on opening day, and another blast that ended up in the Allegheny River in Pittsburgh 2 weeks ago. Here's Derek Dietrich, this week's Insider Classic.
Anyone who's picked up a bat and swung it at the high school level probably has the same dream as St. Ignatius's Derek Dietrich.
I want to play in the big leagues one day, and I'm going to do whatever I can that will get me there the quickest or the most effectively.
What makes Derek unique, he may actually possess the talent and drive to make his dreams become a reality.
He does everything well. He does all the little things. He runs the bases well. He hits the ball the other way very well. Better probably than anybody I've ever seen. You know, he can drive it, he can pull the ball.
Baseball America tends to agree with the manager. They rank Dietrich among the top high school prospects in this June's amateur baseball draft. He's a strong-armed infielder with a nice, compact, left-handed stroke.
He's so strong, and he's that much stronger than everybody else out there. And, you know, when he hits the ball, his bat speed is that much quicker, and he's just got that extra pop on it that, you know, the single that falls in front of the left fielder is a double over the left fielder's head, and that's where he separates himself.
Balance is always steady when they're hitting the ball. It's more like you know, waiting back on the off speed and reacting to the fastball.
Baseball players get better in the winter, working on their craft when they can't play games. Dietrich improved his game this offseason by training with John McDonald, Brian Church, and Travis Hafner. It's the 3rd year he's worked out with the big leaguers.
I work on something new every day and just keeping my head up and working hard. I want to come out every day saying I did my best today.
Dietrich's game seems to continue to go to higher levels, but his coaches really noticed that he's picked things up in the field.
We've always known he's got a great arm. He's really improved his footwork and his hand-eye coordination, and you know, balls that he was having a hard time getting to last year, he's making the plays on and getting in position where, you know, it's not a stretch for him to get there. His footwork has gotten him into position to make the play, and you know, he's beating the runners by 3 or 4 steps instead of 1 or 2 now.
They say they play at 80%, and you know, that's, I was thinking I'm playing at 110% almost every time, but you know, if you play at 80% and have quick feet and good hands, you can get any runner out, the fastest guy in the, you know, playing.
As far as his baseball future goes, Dietrich will have very nice options. He's already accepted a baseball scholarship to play at Georgia Tech.
I just felt like Georgia Tech was the right place for me when I got down there, the facilities and you know, being in the weather in Atlanta, and I just felt like that's the place where I wanted to play baseball.
Of course, that could change if a major league team selects him high enough. Either way, Derek will likely have a chance of making his ultimate dream come true. We want you to get more involved in the show, and you come through social media. Follow us on Twitter. We're at HS Sports Insider and at Dave Bacon Sports. Tweet us your story ideas or your pictures or video showing your school spirit. We'll use it in a future show. We're still plugging away on Facebook as well. Head to our page and like us. We're at High School Sports Insider.
Meanwhile, the tweets of the week are coming up next.
I decided to go to Tri-C because it was easy to commute to. I was able to start Kent State as a junior. All my credits from Tri-C transferred to Kent State. I will be able to earn my bachelor's degree in 4 years. I saved a lot of money starting at Tri-C. My name is Stephanie Bain, and I earned my first degree at Cuyahoga Community College.
Welcome back inside the High School Sports Insider. We always want your input, and this is the part of the show where we ask for it. If you see a crazy play, an outstanding performance, or just high school kids having fun, let us know about it. Tweet those to us. A few rules. You have to use 280 characters or less. Pictures or video is even better. It's time for the Tweets of the Week.
Congratulations to Matt Aukerman. He threw a perfect game for Hudson against Cuyahoga Falls. The Explorers beat the Black Tigers 1-0 in Aukerman's perfecto. Elvis Gerbach, former NFL quarterback, returns to VASJ as the head football coach and athletic director. Gerbach is a 1988 graduate of the school. And it's the Chariot Races, part of Language Week over at St. Ignatius High School, run during Latin Day. For the past 24 years, the more than 700 students who take Latin can participate by building their own chariot.
Keep those tweets coming. We want your story ideas or pictures or video showing your school spirit. Tweet those to us. We're at HS Sports Insider or at Dave Bacon Sports. Use hashtag HSSI Ohio. Again, that's at HS Sports Insider or at Dave Bacon Sports. Use hashtag HSSI Ohio. We'll use a few of them on upcoming shows as the Tweets of the Week. We are all out of time on this week's show. Our half hour together always seems to go by so quickly. We hope to see you back here next week, same time, same place, when again we'll have some of the best high school sports stories from all across Ohio.
Thanks for watching, and thank you for supporting high school athletics. Have a great night.